and current OLLU Our Lady of the Lake, Lane Klosterman, and his skipper of Our Lady of the Lake, Coach Brian Ogney, joining us this afternoon. Coach Lane, welcome to the show.
How you doing?
Awesome. Great to be here. Appreciate the things you do for sports in the Valley, and we're happy to be here.
Definitely. Yeah, excited to have you guys on. And, you know, I was looking at the roster. I count about 9 kids from the Valley. We would have a big panel if we wanted everyone on this show together. But how have you guys been, dealing with, like I mentioned earlier, we're pretty much through quarantine. We can go outside now, return to some sort of normalcy, also with being, careful at the same time. But how was quarantine for you guys?
Go ahead, Lane.
It's been a lot different, obviously, just with not being able to do certain stuff that we've been able to do before. But it's definitely strange, like I said. But I'm glad that it's kind of everything's kind of hoping to get better. But yeah, it definitely kind of like had to think about being a little safer on everything. But it's kind of returning to a new normalcy. So we'll see how everything goes.
What did you do to keep busy throughout quarantine? I know we were stuck in our house for at least a good month and a half.
Yeah, pretty much same here. A lot more time spending just here around the house, my family, just kind of everyone just together, which was kind of weird, me being back at home. But I think it gave all us a chance as a family, just kind of hang out, and it was cool. I did workouts here at the house, what I could with what we have, and then we did a lot of fishing. Well, once everything opened back up to go fishing. So mainly me and my dad kind of spent our time doing that. So it was fun to have those times.
Definitely. And having your brother around the house helps too, to a workout partner.
Yeah. We both kind of had to kind of help both of us keep ourselves in shape. So it's kind of good for me and good for him to kind of have both of us here at the house.
Coach Ogney, how about yourself? I'm sure the honey-do list was filled.
Yeah, and we went through a move, so it was nice to have that free time to move. But moving is just not any fun. No, it's been tough. This was the first March in the better part of 20 years that I haven't been on or 25 years that I haven't been on a baseball field during the month of March. So it was definitely tough. But also, as Lane alluded to, I've got 2 kids, and so it allowed me to, spend a lot of good time with them, and my wife, and just being around the family. Still haven't gone out much, with the kids. My youngest just turned 3, so he likes to grab everything and put it in his mouth. So try to stay at home as much as we can, but spend a lot of nights barbecuing. Spend a lot of time here behind the laptop. Getting things ready and trying to maintain as much as we can our momentum for next year and the years beyond. So really looking forward to this thing, hopefully running its course and getting lifted so we can get back on the field. I can, get out there, recruit, watch some baseball and get things ready to go for next fall.
Absolutely, Coach. Shifting gears to the baseball season, it was very unique. In my opinion, the NBA putting the season on pause was the first major domino effect we saw as far as the sports world goes. It probably wasn't even a day or 48 hours later, we saw, the colleges across the board cancel their season. Where were you guys at when you guys got the word that the season was going to be canceled?
We were on a bus.
I think we're headed to Louisiana.
Yeah, we were headed to LSU Alexandria. And so we got the okay to leave from our administration. I got on the bus, got down the road, and then, all these guys with access to information and the information that was going around Twitter and social media. I pulled us over at a gas station, a rest stop, Preskey's there, and said, hey, we're not leaving until, we know what to do. Because if we get too far down the road, we had to get a hotel room. As a bus drivers, they're limited to how much they can drive. So got word again, all right, you're good to go. So we got back on the road, made it to Houston, and got the phone call to turn around. So we got back to campus. Our initial plan was, hey, we're just going to take a week off next, this weekend is no games, and we'll come back next weekend, hopefully this stuff will be done and we'll get back to playing baseball. But that is not at all how it went. So the last contact we've had as a unit was standing out in front of the UAC, kind of going through what the future at that point in time looked like. So it's definitely been tough. I haven't seen any of these guys face to face since March 12th.
Lane, how about yourself? Obviously you were on that bus. As a player, you kind of got wondering what the heck's going on? What are we doing next? Obviously this is all new to us.
Yeah. Well, yeah, like Coach said, we were on the way to Louisiana. We were all excited because that was not our first, but we were opening up conference. We were still just starting conference. And, we had a good feeling about the whole season. So everyone was all excited. And then obviously, like Coach said, like us having Twitter and all that, we kind of, once we pulled over and kind of started asking questions to ourselves, like what was happening, we kind of put two and two together, but we didn't really want to say it or jinx it, like our season was going to be over. But yeah, it was anxious 30 minutes or so there, just parked at the gas station. But like Coach said, we just thought it was going to be like a 2-week kind of suspension deal and then get back and up and running. So that was best case scenario we were hoping for, I guess. So yeah, we were halfway to Louisiana and basically had to just turn back, and then figuring out that the season was ultimately canceled for sure. Wasn't the best news, obviously, but yeah, it was definitely weird.
Coach, it's funny you mentioned Alexandria, Louisiana. Not a lot of people know where that place is at. When I was with the White Wings, we would play the Aces in Alexandria at Bringhurst Field. Is that field still around? Do you know?
I am not sure, and I have yet to go to Louisiana or to Alexandria. My first year, we got rained out up there, and they came here. My second year, it was their turn to come to us, and this year we were supposed to go to them, and that trip got canceled. So I haven't been there. I don't know the name. I can't remember the name of their facility off the top of my head, but I know Coach Adams does a good job up there, and we were all looking forward to that weekend. We had some good battles with them a year ago. And so I know they were going to be primed and ready to go. It was going to be a weekend of really good baseball. That's for sure.
Yeah. I haven't heard the town Alexandria, Louisiana since the White Wing days. So I was like, whoa, there's a name right there. And Bringhurst Field was unique. That whole thing, the stands were made out of wood. There were no bleachers. It was just all wooden bleachers that kind of just went down like that, and it was just a unique field. It was a hitter's park too. I know our guys loved playing there, but there's a name for the ULB fans that it might be still out there, White Wing fans back in the day. Coach, as a coach, you guys had an ultimate challenge to where, as far as keeping in contact with your players, accountability can go so far because you're from behind a laptop, and the kids got to be held accountable for themselves. But what was the biggest challenge on adjusting from behind the laptop and having to make sure that the boys stay in shape? And what did you do to send out those messages? And did you guys use Zoom, or how did y'all do that?
Yeah, we definitely a challenge. I think I wasn't, and I'm still not too concerned about guys staying in shape, because there's a reason that kids become college athletes and make our roster, and like Lane coming into his junior year, those guys have it in them, the ability to wake up, get to work, and they know what they need to get done. They have that self accountability, and that's why they're where they're at. So I wasn't too concerned about who was throwing bullpens and who was on what schedule, and I knew these guys were going to work out as much as they could given what they had at home. We've had several guys that have bought home gyms, and I had one guy that built a cage in his backyard here in San Antonio. And so I saw a variety of guys doing different things just to, not be bored all the time. The biggest concern for me was the academic side of it, because I didn't have that daily contact with guys to ask, hey, how's classes going? Wasn't able to walk around campus and run into professors and, check on our guys that way. So we use a team app, for mass communication. And then we had a couple Zoom meetings. We kind of broke it down by classes just so we didn't have, 40 guys on one Zoom meeting. We're no one felt like they could talk. So we broke it up by seniors and juniors, sophomores and freshmen, had conversations that way. And then a lot of it's just been personal contact, text message, phone call. I think our guys hopefully understand that myself and our assistant coach Flores, we're always here. I mean, that's our number one priority, is making sure our guys, are doing well. In the classroom, we did really well. Team GPA above a 3.0 for the third year in a row. We'll be another scholar team. So really good things there. I think we had 5 guys with a 4.0 and another 7 or 8 above a 3.5. So really proud of our guys that way, just to, take some discipline to sit behind the laptop and be at home. And, if you got younger siblings or whatever, or get distracted. And, so I know Lane, while he fished a lot, he also spent some time taking care of his studies.
Definitely. Yeah, Lane, for you as a college athlete, was it difficult adjusting to online courses, or is that something you are already familiar with?
No, I mean, I have taken online classes, but definitely not all of them at the same time. So it was definitely different, especially going from classes that had been in person to going online. Just, it was a transition, like for me and the students as well as the teachers. So when it first started, maybe a few classes were a little bumpy here and there, just with assignments getting handed out and stuff like that. But like Coach said, it definitely was just different to adjust to, having to work all your classes online and try to keep communication with your professors, even though you're not seeing them every single day. But just, yeah, like Coach said, just staying on top of the grade side of it while we were at home was one of the bigger challenges of everyone moving back home.
One thing that the college athletes that we've had on this show is they make it a point to have a healthy schedule, especially while we were in quarantine. Some kids would wake up early and do their workouts and then their schoolwork, or vice versa. How important was it for you to create that healthy schedule throughout the week?
Yeah, it was definitely, I tried to maintain just kind of a similar schedule to as I did on campus, just waking up in the morning and finishing basically all the work that was due that week or that day, just so that I wasn't worrying about it when it came, around midnight, when things are starting to get tight and you don't want to be rushed to finish anything. So I think just me, from my experience and what I tried to do, was just wake up in the morning and just try to get everything done. That way I wouldn't be rushed in that perspective.
Coach Ogden, I think, for sure this pandemic is affecting everybody across the board in so many different ways. One thing that we hadn't touched on this show, and that's some people might forget, is the middle part of it, and that's the recruiting. On how much does this affect the kids that were seniors this year and were in the thick of being recruited? And then for recruiters, and I keep hearing that we're in this dead time right now because there's nothing to recruit. There's nowhere to go. Just how big of effect does this have on not only a program and as far as athletes when these kids are trying to get recruited and seen?
Yeah, it's well, for spring sports, it's really interesting because while Lane, was in his junior year, his third year of college, essentially this year's athletics is not going to count against him. So he'll return next year, as a junior as well. And so, and all of our seniors are able to come back, and, everybody essentially is where they started the year from an athletic standpoint. From an academic standpoint, obviously, they're moving towards graduation. So definitely going to be some interesting times ahead as college athletes decide, hey, I'm ready to graduate. I'm ready to move on with my life, or, I want to go, pursue a second degree or a master's, things like that. And then, you talk about the high school senior, all of a sudden, we were identifying needs that we had as a program, because so-and-so is going to graduate and these guys are moving on. So now we got to, fill those holes. Well, now those holes are filled with that same individual that's coming back. So the high school seniors in a really tough position, as well as the high school junior, because roster sizes, although expanded this year at some levels, I think the Division I level is going to expand rosters. They're not going to. We have not heard anything as far as roster expansion. But then it also becomes a budget issue with hotel rooms and team travel and all of that. So I really think this thing's going to take about 4 to 5 years to balance out. Once this whole, all of those affected by the pandemic in the athletic world, seniors in college through juniors in high school, have all moved on until we get back to some, the cycle as it was. So, we're still actively recruiting. We're going to do some things a little bit different next year in terms of our scheduling. I'm going to add some development games, and because the ones that I'm really concerned about are the freshmen from this current year, that we brought in a year ago that, was maybe the guy in waiting in the outfield, or the guy in, stuck behind a senior at a certain position. And so those guys, essentially, all other things created equal, are coming right back into the same situation. So I'm going to do everything I can to get them on the field, get them some legitimate game experience, so that after this year, when our seniors do graduate and, guys make different decisions, that our stable is still full.
And as far as, say, the kids are granted that extra year eligibility, is it up to them to take it? Is it optional?
Yeah, it's totally up to each individual. And so I've reached out to all of our seniors and said, hey, some of our seniors have another year of school left, or another semester of school left. So we're working through those things. I have one who's going to graduate with his master's. And so, we're kind of looking at what options are available for him. And I have a couple of guys that graduated that are going to start their master's. So, when you go to graduate school, it does affect your financial aid and your academic aid here at OLU. So, those are all things that we're working through on an individual basis. But, even at the major levels, the graduate transfer is huge right now, whether they have 1 year left or 2 years left. And so I know, that portal is about ready to explode, because it's getting a lot of use.
Right. With what you can share, I'm sure you guys had kids on your radars right now, during the year, with everything happening and everything get canceled. How do you guys handle that? Do you tell the player you put it on pause?
Yeah. Fortunately, the baseball world is very tight knit. And so, we've been able to see video. Some kids have sent us home video. We've been able to, rely on previous recruiting videos that they've used. We've probably reached out to more coaches to get more background information than we have in the past, because we're just not able to see it firsthand. And then the transfers, the stats are there, and you just got to do your homework, call guys, spend some time on the phone and try to get to know these guys and see what they're about to make sure it's a good fit. Definitely.
Lane, for you as a junior, man, I feel a little old because you were in high school when I saw you playing. Coach Agnew, you were still at Harlingen a couple of years ago as well. How has the transition been for you? I mean, you're already, you're a junior in college, been there, done that. But what was the transition like? And you just obviously getting adjusted to the college life and playing at the college level.
Yeah, it definitely was a big transition. I think just the biggest difference I can think is just the competition you have amongst other teams, as well as other guys on your team, and the speed of the game. But it's been a lot different. I mean, you got to go to your workouts, and as well as managing class and practice all in a day's work just to do it again the next day. So, the coach are always telling us it's a grind. So just sticking to that grind and just being ready to go to work, go to class, and then go to practice. It's definitely the biggest transition of just balancing it all.
Last year, you guys went 18-9 in conference play. You all went 31-24 overall, the best you all have done in 5 years. What was special about last season?
Just to, I think to see the way it all came together at the end, I think we were playing our best baseball come our last few games, which is ultimately what you want. But kind of I don't know, I guess the best part of it, I thought this year, or I guess this year that just got canceled, I feel like we picked up right where we left off and even got even a little bit better than that previous year. We had filled in some pieces that, the coaches thought that we were missing in some spots. And we were looking really strong and hoping for a good run. And it was just kind of sad to see it all not come out. But, all the guys have been talking. We're excited to pick right back up when we're able to go back in the fall. And, we're expecting to have just as good, if not a better year this coming year. So we're all excited.
Coach, I know UIL for high school athletics, they just announced that June 8th, they're going to allow the students slowly back into the high schools as far as strength and conditioning goes. What's the status as far as the college world goes? When will OLU allow students to, or the athletes to, slowly go back into workouts?
Yeah, I think the interesting thing when we talk about, the high school to the colleges, all of our guys and all of our sports at OLU essentially are from all over the state, all over the country, and essentially in some of our sports we have people from around the world. So, this is summertime is kind of our, I guess, time away from each other anyway. And so I'm putting together our workouts. All of our returners, have their workouts that we were doing, as well as, in Lane's case, from a pitching standpoint, his calendar, where he should be when bullpens and different things like that. But we'll be emailing those out to our guys. And, the big thing is just getting bigger, faster, stronger, the best you can through until we come back. I think Our Lady of the Lake, we're scheduled to kind of have a reopening for employees June 9th. And then I believe at the end of June, we add a few more and progressively opening for more and more people. The hard part, I think, for the college setting is we really want to make sure that our fall is not interrupted and that our fall sports can, go without, any major hiccups. And so I think universities are going to be kind of slower to open, just from the standpoint of, in case something were to happen. I would hate for us to open up, full go right now. And then, who knows what could happen, but now we're stuck right back where we were and having things closed up. So as I know right now, OLU is fully committed to open up in the fall. Obviously, there's going to be some measures in place, and we're getting that information here. But that's the plan right now. Fortunately, baseball, we're an outside sport. The hard part's going to be, how do we manage the weight room and the different facilities we have on campus, where people are in tighter quarters.
We're joined by OLU coach Brian Ogney and Lane Klosterman, also of OLU, here on our show, our Sideline Sit Down. Coach, I looked up at the roster, and I mentioned earlier I counted 10 Valley athletes that are on your roster. A couple of Harlingen boys, John Ortega, Connor Harlan, and Brody Flores, who I believe played for you, right, for a couple years right before you made the move. And then Lane, being from Lyford, Cross Gonzalez from Rio Hondo, just joined the team this year as a freshman. Talk about this list of kids here, particularly from the Valley, and we're starting to see more Valley athletes get signed and get that opportunity to go play at the next level. And I think this roster is probably one of the biggest rosters as far as Valley athletes goes.
Yeah. Well, it kind of dates back to when I first moved to Texas back in 2007, when I got hired as the assistant coach at UTB, and then UT Brownsville. And then in 2008 was named the head coach there until they consolidated and all of that. And our last season was 2012. So, back since then, I really felt the Valley has really good baseball. And so, I know that area, obviously, coaching at the college level and then doing 5 years at Harlingen High, got to know a lot of the high school coaches, both in the lower Valley and the upper Valley. So definitely a resource that I use. I think, though, I just really I love the chip that those guys play with on their shoulders per se. You know, they may not be highly recruited or heavily recruited. You know, they might be a little bit undersized, a little bit too slow, a little bit of that. You know, whatever it is. But you know, they come in and they work their tails off, and they're hungry. You know, they're hungry to either prove it to themselves or prove it to others that, hey, I can do this and I can do it well. So we've kind of continued that. I think it's a great fit. I think from a distance standpoint, people love coming to San Antonio. A lot of people from the Valley, you know, spend a lot of time in San Antonio, whether it's on the weekends or they're coming for family trips or whatever it is. So the distance isn't too far, yet we're close enough, yet far enough away. And so I think it's a good fit. We offer a great education. You know, we're a smaller school, smaller Catholic school, so it's not overwhelming. I know some kids, when you go to a big school and you're in a huge lecture hall, it's tough for some. So I think that's another advantage that we have. And so, yeah, you know, I know, you know, Bodie and Connor and Ortega was a freshman my last year at Harlingen High. So definitely had some history with those guys. And then, you know, when Kevin Ledesma was at Lyford, you know, I know him from my days at Harlingen High, and you know, that kind of introduced us to Lane, and we got that relationship going. So I think it's a good fit. You know, I love kids from the Valley. They're starting to get more recruited, more and more, which is really good. You know, good for them. Kind of bad for me. I thought we had a little handle on it, but you know, it is what it is. I'm just happy to see any kid that gets a chance to move on to college and an opportunity to play a sport, because I think there's so many that, you know, can do it, should do it. And so anytime I see it, I'm really happy for those individuals.
Definitely. Lane, I got a little surprise for you here. I'm going to bring this up on this screen share here, if I can. Here we go.
Oh,
Yeah, that's the old one.
Yeah, there you go. And talking about, you know, the baseball being the baseball community being so tight knit. Those are three of your boys up there, Coach.
Yes, it is. I forgot about that one.
Yeah, there's Connor Harlan, Bodie Flotis, Lane Klosterman. Who'd have thought all three would be playing for Olu and you as the coach?
Yeah, that's good stuff. That's good stuff.
Yeah, Lane, talk about that season. You know, your senior year, you were named MVP, and it was kind of, you know, just a good year for you guys, and just kind of reminisce back on that year for you when you played at Lyford.
Yeah, you know, it was fun. Like Coach said, that's when Ledesma was there, as well as Coach Cervantes. But that was a close-knit group of guys that just scrapped pretty much every game and just clawed their way into some games that people didn't think we would win, and just kind of went on a roll at the right time. And then, like you said, to see Bodie and Connor up there is kind of cool. Just, you know, we kind of all grew up playing together on different select teams, and, you know, we'd go work out together every now and then or throw with each other, but college ball, much less on the same team. So it's kind of cool to see that picture now and see where we're at now.
Definitely. Coach Agnew, I believe, was this the year you were also named Coach of the Year, or was that the year before?
Shoot, I am not sure. I think I was Coach of the year before, when I had a large group of seniors my second year at Harlingen High, and we had a pretty good team. So I think that was the year before.
Nonetheless, still a small world, and I just thought I'd surprise you that Lane. Let's take a little trip down memory lane.
Yeah, for sure.
Where do you feel baseball is at right now, Lane, as far as, you know, the Rio Grande Valley? Last year we saw an all-region final with Pioneer and Sherryland, and we saw Pioneer make state. Coach Agnew, I'm sure you followed that closely with Bick and Smith, Coach Smith over there. But Lane, we'll start with you. Where do you feel baseball is at?
I think baseball down here is good, and maybe I think it's always been at this level, and I think like Coach said, more of people that aren't from here are starting to kind of dig into it and see it as well. But yeah, there's been lots of good Valley teams that I've played against, as well as gone to see play, that can really play ball. So it's cool to see, like I said, people that I know that I played against, or people that I'm friends with from down here, getting signed and going on to play college ball. It's cool to see.
And Coach Agnew, you mentioned, you are familiar with a lot of the Valley coaches, and to see Coach Bick and Coach Smith make a region final, that was history. First time we had an all region final for baseball. And it was a beautiful thing, not only for baseball, but for sports in the Valley. Just what was like that, watching their run last year in the playoffs?
I think it's really awesome. I mean, Coach Bickerton has been at it a long time. And I remember when I first moved to the Valley, that was always more than one person always told me, hey, you got to go watch Sherryland. And so we would always make a point to go watch them and talk to Coach Bick about who he had and who he thought was, we needed to get after. And I believe Coach Smith, is kind of one of Bickerton's disciples, to say that they used to coach together. But Coach Smith, even at Mission Vets, I had some of his players at Brownsville from Mission Vets. So, I knew when he got that Pioneer job that he was going to do some good things. And so really cool, it's hard to pick a winner out of that. And, that's what we do is, but just a pure competition and the love that those two have for each other and each other's programs and those kids, they all know each other. So what a great environment for baseball and for the Valley.
Lane, we talked about your brother Caleb earlier. He's man, it was unfortunate to see his injury going into his junior year. He was lined up for a breakout year. I know Coach Izzy, when I went by during two-a-days, they were fired up about him. He was fired up, and the offense that you guys were fixing to have. He's healthy now. Like I mentioned earlier, I got to see him throw the football about a month and a half ago. He's lining up for his senior year. How's he feeling? How's he looking?
He's feeling good. Like I said, not ideal, obviously, for him to lose his whole junior year, but I think if anything that he can take out of it is just that gives him just another chip to put on his shoulder for his senior year. But I think it was good. I mean, we've been in the front yard throwing just stuff that I'm doing for him that he would do for me when I was in high school. So I think he's looking good, and I'm excited, to go down and see as many games that I can.
Definitely. It's good. It's good to see him that he's back healthy again. Our last topic, guys, being this is a baseball panel, we got a couple baseball nerds on here. Major League Baseball and where it's at. We're hoping that we get to a solution sooner rather than later. We've seen the league come to an agreement. Now it's just up to the players agreeing to the terms. Coach Agnew, where do you feel Major League Baseball is at with where we're at right now?
Yeah, that's a tough one. I mean, I saw there on Twitter that, they're going to get less than 50% or something. Still a lot of money to play. But and then how that all, works out. So definitely, from a business standpoint, I can see the ownership's standpoint of, not generating any revenue, but can also see the player standpoint of the risk that they're putting themselves at in different things, and then where are they going to play and all of that stuff. So a lot of moving parts. I just know that I'm kind of sick of watching games that I know the outcome from, and want some real reality TV in baseball. I miss that as kind of my, turn on MLB Network and winding down and watching what happened throughout the day. So I'm definitely looking forward to, the big leaguers getting back on the field and really interested to see how when this comes. When they are allowed to, however that is the kind of the level of baseball that we'll see, in terms of what have these guys been doing, on their own, and what are we going to learn from it, in the next 2 to 3 years in terms of development and those sort of things.
And I know right now, I think it's 82 games, which is the proposed deal. Players are feeling that if they could play more games, then they can take more or less of a pay cut. I think that's kind of what they're trying to figure out. One thing that stood out to me was a universal DH. I know that's something baseball has pondered, whether to keep the DH, get rid of the DH. Me personally, I like the DH because I don't like Verlander on second having to run the bases at all. Fan of the DH, Lane?
Yeah, I like the DH. I think it's almost like when you see a major league pitcher against a major league pitcher batting, it's kind of almost more times than not a guaranteed out, and usually a DH is more of one of your more solid hitters. So I think it just brings a little more excitement to the game. So I would want to keep the DH if it was up to me.
And who's your favorite baseball team?
The Rangers. I know that's not going to be a high answer on your choice, but yeah, the Rangers are my team.
Yeah, see, Lane knows. But see, the Astros used to be in the National League. So I was growing up used to Roy Oswalt having a bat. So, I've always been a fan of the DH. When Lane, you're a Rangers fan, you've always been in the American League. Coach Agnew, you a DH fan?
Well, I've, throughout my entire coaching career, I've had been able to use the DH. So from a coaching standpoint, I love the DH. Whenever one of our pitchers throws a shutout, pitcher's going to take BP in practice. So after seeing a couple of those, I'm really thankful we have the DH. But I'm a Cubs fan. And so, I like the way the game is managed and played, especially in the playoffs when there isn't a DH, just in terms of double switches and the strategy that's put behind it, when to utilize a short game and those sort of things. But from a pure fan perspective, everybody likes home runs. And so, from that standpoint, I do like the DH.
So being that you're a Cubs fan, you got to see Carlos Zambrano could rake when he played.
Yes, he could.
I know that was pretty unique, pretty different. What do you guys miss most about sports? Whether that's being involved in it, watching it as a fan, coaching it, playing it. What do you guys miss most about it?
I think it's just a mix of everything. I don't think I can single out anything. Just from being with the guys, or even just going to practice when it's 100 degrees. I even miss that. I'm not sure if I would have thought I would say that, but I would kill for one of those 100-degree practices. And then just even here at the house, like, it's weird and there's not anything to watch. Usually there's always a TV on at my house that just has some sort of game on. So yeah, it's just been weird not having any of that. So I'm excited for things to get back to normal.
Yeah, for sure. I think I just miss the guys, just watching them, get after it in the weight room, or, just having a great practice and, winning the game. It's that's what drives us as competitors. And so, not to have that for this prolonged period is tough. And I've watched way too many of my wife's choices on Netflix, so really can't wait for sports to come back.
Definitely. Lane, you're a PS4, Xbox guy?
Man, I used to be a big PS4 guy, and honestly, lately I haven't really played much. But yeah, I do have a PS4.
Because I was going to say, I've been getting my baseball fix through the show.
That's true, yeah.
I've been playing a lot of the show lately, and actually, I played Matt Sessler a couple weeks ago. He beat me online, but I lost to Cross Gonzalez too online, so I went on a bit of a cold streak, at least on my online gaming, as far as that goes. But before we wrap up, guys, any shout outs or any messages you'd like to give out to any family members or friends?
Yeah, just if any family's watching, just saying hi to them and excited to see them again. Yeah,
just all of our Saints family around across the state, across the nation. Look forward to getting you guys back and going back to work with y'all, and to all my people at Harlingen High and my old Scorpions down at UTB. Just take care, stay safe, and look forward to seeing y'all back on the diamond.
Definitely. We're joined by Our Lady of the Lakes, Lane Klosterman, and their skipper, Brian Ogby. Guys, thanks for taking the time out of your day and joining us here on the show.
Yeah, thank you.
Appreciate it.
Definitely. We'll see you guys. Yes, Coach?
I said, appreciate you.
Yes, sir. Thank you guys for coming out on the show. Later today at 5, we're actually going to keep the Harlingen train rolling. Jose Garcia, he's a junior this year, track star there at Harlingen High School. He's going to be joining Mark Molina later today at 5. But for Lane, Coach Brian Ogny, thanks for joining us. We'll see you guys. Stay home and stay safe.